Today in the woodyard, we're talking finding stuff in your wood, metal. So today we're going to talk about finding prizes in wood that you're cutting. You know what a prize is, don't you? They look a lot like a spike or a tree step or a piece of barbed wire fence or a staple or a bolt or a screw or a bullet. I've actually found bullets and birdshot. I found birdshot one time in wood that you're cutting. It's not a fun thing to have happen, but it does happen. And on oak, there is a warning signal. I'll show you what it looks like. So here's a piece of oak that came in on a load log, and it looks like, oh, it's a piece of oak that's, you know, it's got barkless oak, but look, oh, look at that, barbed wire. And the reason we knew it was on there is not because I saw the barbed wire, but I saw this. When you see this coloration on oak, it's kind of like a bluish gray black kind of color on the end. If you see that, be warned, that means that there's wire or metal. So right here is a piece of metal. You can see it right there. That was a fence, piece of fence right there, and here's the other piece. And there might be more, but usually there's one or two. So you got to watch for that kind of stuff. So there's one prize. We're going to go find some more. So this pile right here is stuff I've collected just in the last maybe 6-7 months since I've been cutting, since last fall. I have a whole variety of goodies here to show you, and I think you're going to like them. Now this one is probably the best prize. This one was actually in a piece of wood. Not one I was cutting. This one was my brother got. He bought a couple truckloads of railroad ties, the ones that were bad, the ones that they refused, the rejects. And he's cut. It's all white oak and red oak, and he's cutting those up for firewood because there's bad spots and they can't sell them. But this was actually inside one of the pieces. Isn't that nice? And he didn't even know it was there. He started splitting it and he saw something shiny. Luckily, he did not cut it. So that's a nice one. That's from the sawmill. Dandy. How would you like to cut that in half with your chain? Not a good thing. So that's probably the best one that I've ever seen. Here's one right here. I'm gonna do these one at a time. This one right here, you don't notice anything because it's a piece of white pine. You don't really notice it. But look right by my thumb there. That's a screw right there. And I saw that when I split it apart. Never knew it was there. So stuff like that, when you cut it, not fun. So there's a screw. On to the next one. All right, I'm going to go through my collection. And this, remember, this is just from 1 year. This is maybe even less than a year that I found all these. And if I found this many, I got to believe I probably didn't find just as many. So here's the first one. This one I knew about because when I got it in, this was just a load I just got. There was a red, well, they put their initial on it. It was like a J or a C, I forget what it was, but they had a big red X on it, on the end. And then I looked at the end down here, and you can see this bluish, blackish gray kind of color. This is a piece of white oak. So you can see in oak especially, the color will transform all the way through. And right there's the culprit. Nice big spike. So you can see how dark that is. And if you see that coloring on the end, on oak especially, there's a nail. So I always look on the outside. Sometimes you can see a wound that's healed over. Sometimes you can't. But you just got to be careful. That's one. Here's again another coloration you can see. This is also a piece of white oak. You can see the color that it turned. And right here, if you look close, you can see there's 2 strands of barbed wire that ran through. Yeah, right through here, right over to this hole here. But the whole piece is this dark color. Because it should have been, when I split it, it should have been this color. And that's how much color difference there is from here to here. You can see the color difference. So that's 2. Here's another one. And I saw the coloration, but I did not find it until after I split it. But right here you can see there's a big staple in there, and right here is part of a fence. You'll find a lot of this kind of stuff on edges of farmers' fields or in people that have, you know, lot lines, things like that where you're cutting. This one, you can't see it, but there's a little piece of wire right in there, but it's a real dark piece, so you can tell. It should be this color, but over here you can see the color that it is. A little piece of wire there, and right in here there's a piece of wire. So those are all oak. Now here's a piece of pine. I gotta find this one. Oh, there it is, right there. Right there. Now, there's no coloration to this one. I mean, other than it's weathered. But that I just happened to find when I was splitting it. I didn't even see this one until I split it. So cutting it, never saw it. This is one I saw. I saw this one as I was cutting the tree down. I just happened to be cutting and I kind of came up and I saw this right here. There's a nail and I obviously missed it. This is a piece of ash. And ash really doesn't change color. This is just that gray color because it's been cut for a while. But I saw that nail there right before I started cutting on it, so I cut just past it, and I just missed it, obviously. So there you go, another one to look for. So you got to look on the bark, look on the outside, look for the colorations, especially if you know you're on a lot line. I check the trees over up and down. A good example of one is this one right here. This was on a lot line, and this is a piece of red pine I cut. Nice big spike on that one. And then one of the trees right next to it, another red pine from a different tree though. This was there. So there's one, 2, 3, 4. And this is on the wedge I cut on the bottom. So there was more nails in this tree. But anyway, there's a bunch there. We're just getting started, folks. The excitement is building, I can tell. This is an aluminum nail, it looks like, because there's no corrosion to it. And that was in a piece of oak, and I obviously missed it. Here is another one, another aluminum one sticking out right here. Or galvanized, maybe it's a no, it looks like it's aluminum. Here's another one, same. Nice. That's all from the same job. And then here's another one with a piece of fence in it. Right here you can see it sticking out. Nice dark coloration, because again, it should be this color, but it turns that blackish, gray, purpley kind of color. One of the indicators, I saved this piece because it was an end one. This was the actual end. No, this was the actual end. And I could see that it was darker. When I cut it off, you could see the coloration right in here too, so even on the edge. There's no nail in this particular piece, but it was down somewhere farther. But I just saved it. When I first cut it, it was obviously more pronounced because it was lighter. It wasn't as aged. This has been sitting in the sun now for months. Here's another one, a little piece of barbed wire. It goes right through here. You can see it sticking out on this side, and I missed that one. Here is another one. This one, I didn't find this one until I split. This is a piece of white oak, but I did know that it had a problem because I saw how dark it was on the end, but I didn't hit anything when I was cutting because I got lucky on this one, and right there it is, so I missed it by a little bit. So sometimes it's just a matter of luck. Here's another piece of pine from a different job. I remember this one because there was plastic wrapped around these. There's two nails. There's one right here and one right there, and I missed that one. Here's another piece of oak with another one. See the coloration you can see there on it? So there's another one. Here's another piece of oak, another nail that I missed, luckily. Here is a piece of oak that is really dark because it's been weathered, but look at the darkness. I know is mainly because there's a bunch of barbed wire. Right here's the piece of barbed wire. And there's another one up here too. So there's a big chunk. Here is another piece of oak, and here's, I don't know if you can see them, there's strands right here, barbed wire sticking up. Right there's barbed wire. And you can see how dark it is because it should be all this color, but it's real dark. And again, the oak is the easy one to tell on. The other ones are the scary ones because you never know what you're going to hit. Here's another piece of pine from that same job. And you can see there's plastic. I saw plastic actually, or this right here. I saw this little piece of plastic sticking out from the bark. And I thought, I wonder, and I saw two of them. I thought, oh, I bet there's something in there. And sure enough, nice big spike. They had something hanging from it at one time. Here's another one from the same job. This is one too that I found when I split it, and there was a piece of plastic hanging out right here where it went, and I pulled that off. But I know they had plastic, they must have drove into it, and then it grew around, the tree grew around the plastic and the nail. That's a piece of red pine. Here's one I saw before I cut the pile, before I even started cutting. But look at how close the saw came to hitting. Oh no, I did hit it. I must have hit it. That's why I taped it. I was cutting and I saw it because there's a little bit of a shiny mark in there. So I put a piece of tape on it so I'd remember it. But yeah, nice, nice, very nice. There's a chunk. Here's another piece of pine. Another one with a spike on it. That's a piece of red pine. Here's a piece of oak. Yep, you can see this is the color. It should be more like this because it's weathered. You can see how dark it is. There's a piece of barbed wire right there. right there. She's sticking out. There's the barbed wire. Okay, the fun continues. Here is a piece of oak. It has a piece of barbed wire right here that runs through it. You can see again, this should be the color that it is. And this is the color on the inside. Oh, right here you can see the barbed wire sticking out. Right there's a little piece of it. And then right here's the other piece coming out. And again, sometimes you'll see a little grow over where they'll be almost like a wart kind of a thing on the tree. That'll happen a lot of times. The tree will try to heal itself there. Another piece of, what is this here? This is... I gotta wonder what this is. Oh, this is cherry, piece of cherry. It's just weathered really dark right here. You can tell it's cherry, but nice big spike on that baby. And it just got missed by the cutter on that one. Whoever cut it. It was on the end. Here's another piece of oak. And that came close to getting cut. Obviously it bent up when I split it. But I did not even know it was there until I split it. I did see the coloration on the end. You know, it was that dark color. But there is the spike. We're not even halfway, folks. This one I saw right away. I don't know what that is. I think it's a bent over nail, but I saw it. So I plucked it out of the herd just before I cut it. This is a piece of ash. I remember cutting this because I actually cut, not this one right here. There was another piece above it, and I cut the wire, and then I saw the other one. I saw this little piece sticking out. And then when I split it, this pulled through. So barbed wire. On farms especially, on fence lines, you got to watch for those if you're cutting on farms. There's another one, little pieces of barbed wire sticking out right there, and they come right through on this side right here. So again, you see the coloration. That's a piece of oak. Here is another nice spike sticking out. It came out when I split it. Did not know it was there. There's a piece of cherry again. Here's a real nice one here. This is the way I like to find them, when you can see them just like that. And it was on a fence line. It was just like that. So obviously I didn't cut it. And which was kind of nice that I saw it. But it's nice to see them on the outside. But that's not always the case. Sometimes they hide on you. But here's a case of one where it was not hiding. I saw this one right away, obviously. Isn't that a beauty? Well, I just lost a piece. The one I lose him. There's another piece that was just hanging off here. So, but yeah, they stick out all kinds of places. And it comes right through this side. You can see the wire here and here. And I saw this one, so that's always good when you can see it. Like that very first one I showed you. Here is one that is, what is the deal here? Oh, right here. It's a piece of barbed wire buried right in there. Nothing spectacular on that one. Here's one that is, where is it? Right here. I can see a little wire sticking out there, but the coloration gave it away on the end. It had that piece of oak again, because the oak kind of gives you a little bit of warning. The other ones, it's more of a surprise. There's a piece of white oak, and there's a piece of wire right here sticking out, and the wire comes out right through here, so you can see how dark that is and how it has changed its color. Look at this ugly one. Here's a piece of ash. I remember this because this was on the farm. Right there's a nice piece of wire. I did not see that one until I split it either. I remember this one because it was the end of one that was marked for me to cut. So it was on a fence line. That's what that means, that it was marked. And here's a nice big chunk back here. And this one, I don't even remember what it is. I know there's something on here. Oh, there it is. I remember seeing that one. There's a nail right there. So there's that one. This one here, I was cutting in a brush pile, trying to get at a tree that was standing that I was going to cut. There was brush piled around it, and I heard a ka-ting go off. I actually hit this and it went flying, and then I saw it. So I actually hit this with my saw. It was just somehow, it must have came off of a farmer's rake, obviously, and it was in the brush pile. But I hit it, but it wasn't even on a tree. It was just laying in the brush. So there's always those kind of goodies that pop up. This one right here, another piece of barbed wire going through here. This is fun, isn't it? It's probably the most fun you've had in a long time. Here is a nice big spike. Now this one, if you look, see how that's kind of cut off? That's because I cut it with my saw. I actually cut the whole thing. And this is one that if you watch my videos from a long time ago, last January I was cutting on, not this last January, in January before, I was cutting on my dad's land, a tree that had fell down on his pond. And this was about 20 feet up in the tree because I was up towards the middle part of the tree cutting, and I was going real hard, and I could hear chatting. What in the heck is going on? Because I just didn't think there'd be anything in there. Of course, I forced it, and I cut the nail right off. Yeah, it was nice. Kind of ruined that chain. So the thing is, what's funny about that is I put the spike in the tree when I was probably about 16, 17, deer hunting. It was a deer stand of mine. Of course, I didn't remember, but I knew I hunted back in there. But I know that I had put it in the tree, so it's my own fault. Here is one that's got, what is this one here? A piece of barbed wire right there. Not a big deal on that one. Here's another nice spike. You can see sticking up. There's a piece of white oak. And again, here you can see where it's kind of got a knot growing over it, right where it goes in. So right there, a nice spike. That I didn't find until I split it either. But again, I did know it was there because I saw the darkness on the end there, so I could see that. Let's see, we got one right here. This is a nice one. Look at this, a potpourri of nails. One there, one there. I thought there was one, yeah, there's one over on the other side here, but nice big spike there, huh? Isn't that a dandy? Okay, here's another one from the same log. Look at that cluster. How would you like to have cut that? Isn't that a thing of beauty? So there, a whole bunch of them. There's a family, look at that. It's a full house. Ooh. Okay, next one. This one here, I saw the coloration, obviously. This is what they'll usually look like on the end, on oak especially, white oak, red oak. But there's two big spikes right here, and there's a big spike right here. So a whole bunch of them again. Okay, next one. There's a piece of cherry, and there's a spike right there sticking out, right there. And I don't think I cut this one. I just remember seeing it that was shiny when I first split it. Here's another one with a big spike hanging out of it when I split it. You can see this big knot here. Like I said, a lot of times they'll grow a tumor around the actual, offender, whether it's wire or a nail. You can see the head of it right in there, but then there it is. So that's a nice one. The next one here is, where is it? I don't know. Oh, there it is. Right here. Some wire sticking out of that one. Okay. We're getting close to the end. We're getting close. Show's almost over. Here is the piece of wire sticking out right here. Another piece of oak. Here's another one with a spike that I saw obviously before I cut. Nice big spike hanging out of that one. And, oh, here we go. This is a cool one. Right on the end, there was 3 nails. There was one here, one there, and one there. I can see where this one's rusted. And again, I can see the coloration. So I looked for it, and I saw this before I started cutting. So some nice nails there. This one here, these are my favorite. How do you like that? I saw this before I even started cutting, but look at how close that came to getting cut. I mean, like literally within like a quarter of an inch away. And I cut it, and then when the log rolled over, I saw this, and I went, oh my gosh. So I put a piece of tape on it so I wouldn't forget it. So that's a dandy. These are really good. The sawmills love these. They just love them. I think it's their favorite thing. And then here's another one I found, and this one I saw before I cut it, and that one's just grown right into the tree. But I split it out, so you can see how far it is in here. If you look right here, you can see there's the screw part, and over there's the step part. So it's growing into the tree that much. So a lot, but isn't that a dandy? So yeah, the guys run the sawmills. I'm sure that's what they really like. So this one I don't have to bring the camera down for. So this one here, obviously I saw the wire hanging out. I mean, it's a long one. There's actually 2 on this side, here and here, and then one over here. I'm sure that the other one, yeah, there it is right there. I didn't even realize it was sticking out there. It's just froze down to the ground yet. Right there's the other. I don't know if you can see that in there. Right there's a piece of wire. Oh, and there's a piece of wire up here too. All kinds of wire on this one, sticking out all over. So yeah, I just left that one because it was such a beautiful piece. So here is my collection of stuff. And then here's my brother's best prize of all time. So keep your eyes peeled. Keep your eyes open. Always be looking. I look the wood over all the time. I'm constantly looking so I don't cut anything because I've cut enough pieces to know. And once you cut a few, you'll learn. You'll hear that sound. You know what it is when you hit something, especially a nail or a spike. Barbed wire, a lot of times you'll just cut through it and you'll feel a little something, and then it's like, what was that? And then your saw is dull and you realize I must have hit something. So those are all the fun things I found so far. Now, I do have a piece somewhere, and I can't find it here. It was 2 halves pulled apart, and it was actually birdshot. When I split it, the birdshot just rolled out. You know, it was little lead BBs that came out. And I have found twice now, I found bullets, but that was like 4 or 5 years ago. One I found when I split a piece open, and the other one I found cutting. I actually cut a bullet right in half down the long way. Like if this is the tip of the bullet, I cut it like right down the middle. So it was really nice. It was a piece of lead I cut. And it actually didn't hurt the saw too bad because it was just a solid piece of lead. So I have hit bullets too, and I know other people have hit things too. So in the comments, put down, what have you cut into? What have you found inside of trees? What prizes have you been lucky enough to find? Those are my prizes just from the last year. If I find anything else that's spectacular, I will show you, but there it is. There is the pile. That's all. Thanks for watching. Hit the buttons. You know what to do. Get outside, get some cutting done between now and tomorrow, because tomorrow you're going to be back, I'm going to be back. And then we're going to say good night to Irene. Good night.